Hello, guests. Our last guest is about to arrive. So this is an Instagram Live by the International Council of Design for International Design Day. I'm Alisha Piercey, the ICoD Communications Officer, and today I have the pleasure of so far being joined by Tyra von Zweigbergk. I'm also going to shortly be joined by Magda Seifert. Tyra, is the former ICoD Secretary General, illustrator, and actually the designer of this year's IDD poster. And then Magda Seifert from Esad-Idea in Portugal, and Gabriel Roland from Vienna Design Week, Austria, for a conversation around the theme Suspended in Transition. Okay, so I'm just going to see if I can join the others. Just going to check something. Try again to join with Vienna.
There he is.
Oh, great. Hi.
Hi.
So I'm having trouble joining with Magda, but we're going to keep trying with her periodically. In the meantime, I'm going to give a little introduction about what this is. So International Design Day, the 27th of April, is the anniversary and founding of the Council. It's an opportunity to recognize the value of design, its capacity to affect change. And on this day, we invite designers to reflect deeply on the well-being of people within their local environments and to find innovative solutions to the local needs by using design as a vehicle to honor diversity and transcend borders. So this year, we're reacting to the seismic changes of the past few years. We find ourselves in this in-between liminal space between a past that no longer exists and an uncertain future. We find ourselves suspended in transition. The pandemic, climate change, our changed work environments, changed technologies, the impacts of globalization, and paradoxically, our increased isolation have put us in a space that may be uncomfortable in the sense of its unknowingness, but also that it might offer us many opportunities. As designers, we should be thinking about the impact we want to have going into this new future. And what the future of our profession will take. So I want to just start with, I'm going to start with you, Tyra. How would you describe this feeling, this time of transition? And would you say, when did it hit you that design might actually be in a place or moment of transition?
I don't know, I think I've felt it for quite some time that the things aren't like the usual job opportunities are not really coming in as one was used to quite a few years ago. I mean, now we've had a time of kind of quiet all over, I feel, with COVID and I think it's been like a time for a lot of people to reflect and to kind of go a little bit inwards and just take a break and think about, you know, what are we actually doing and what do we want to do and how do we want to do it?
Yeah.
That's how I use this time in any way.
Gabriel, how are you feeling? Did you also feel a sense of that, we're on the brink of kind of a new time, a new era?
Well, yeah, definitely. But I feel like this is only just design realizing what it should be anyway. And that's also what we keep on telling people is that times of change are kind of times for design, and where design can actually show its potential and be what it's supposed to be anyway. I feel like design is at its most useless in times of complacency, and it's a great tool for that. It's very comfortable to design when everything is going well, and beautiful things are made, but that's easy. So I feel like when there's friction and when there's something changing, when there's a transition and suspense, that's when it really counts, and that's when also when design is not only a pleasure but a responsibility, and that's what we are trying to talk about.
And what would you, what about the design industry no longer fits with this time? Magda, you might want to respond to this. What are you noticing in the actual industry itself that it sort of put a spotlight on it?
It got a spot on it, but I think we should look at it as a challenge and as an opportunity. So the industry didn't stop. It had to reinvent herself. And as a designers, we of course have a role on that to happen. So as Tyra was saying, this was a moment where we could actually stop and think about the challenge we have ahead. You call this session Suspended in Transition, relating it to COVID, but we are really facing new times now, also a war that is changing the concept of Europe and how we react to it. So we had more than 70 years of peace, and this war is also affecting our industry and our needs and the way we see them. So I think we are again in a moment of reflection and of action needed.
Tyra, do you have any comments on that?
Well, I mean, when we speak about design, this word it's covering a lot, and I just want to point out, like, for me, what I'm looking at and what I've been thinking about is not so much product design or architecture or fashion design, but it's more illustration and graphic design. That's like the field where my organization is focused. And what I've seen in these groups during this time is a lot of I see a lot of craft. Like, I see a lot of stepping back to things that you can do by yourself, things that you can do without being like commissioned to do it or paid to do it. And it's really going down to like a very basic type of design where you know, I see a lot of pottery, there's wood carving, there's all these things that brings design back to a very kind of early stage of it. Which
would you say maybe it's even more of a local space where the design is working more closely in a kind of situated local reality?
Yeah, I mean, people are a lot doing the things that they can, you know, start and finish by themselves, basically. That's what I find in a lot of the people that I'm surrounded with.
So which designs are going to matter in the near or far future? Looking at that sort of shift that you're each seeing in your own local environment, who or what kind of voices are you noticing are coming to the forefront in a meaningful way?
Attaching to what's just been said, I think it's people who find specific solutions to where they are and where they're implemented. I think we're past trying to find the one size fits all thing, and I think the solutions we're now interested in and that now we feel like are relevant are the ones that have a local impact within a global scope, to realize and to acknowledge that we face global challenges, but to access them in a local way, and to access them in a participatory way, to have it to get people into the conversation, not try to do something for users, but together with them. But I think the first thing that we as a community and as a design scene have to repair is the term of design. I don't know what it's like in your countries and in your circles of conversation, but I feel like that design has become something of an empty phrase, and this is, I think, is the first thing that we need to tackle, is to recharge that word with something that is meaningful in people's lives, and not just something that is meaningful in selling up a product, but in improving actual livelihoods. I think this is the first challenge that we all have to face together.
Yes, I completely agree. Of course, I cannot make futurology about future designs, but I can see design as an action, as a branch of knowledge, and to see the capacity it has to develop work individually and collectively. I think during this pandemic period, we all saw how, for instance, the interior space of a house, how it affects your daily routines, and how important the public space it is, and how through design we could rehearsal proof of concepts of experiences that can make changes through new creations of objects, products, experience, and so on.
Can you elaborate? What do you mean by I like what you say about a rehearsal of experiences. So the kind of suspended state then was a time to experiment, or did it give you more space, did you find, to do things that ordinarily the rush wouldn't have given you that time for?
I personally did not experience that because I just had a newborn in the beginning.
Congratulations.
So I had a very difficult experience in the sense that everybody said they had calm and time to breathe and to think, and I had 2 small children, and it was quite overwhelming for me to keep on being parents, working, and trying to react to all these things that were happening. But through the Biennale, we tried to experience new things, and the theme was that was created by Alisha was really designing the present. So alter realities, designing the present, and trying to see other kinds of realities within the one that we were living in. And we didn't actually have time to do this proof of concept, but it's that we would like to develop further. And be another part of it, of this rehearsal.
I'm thinking when we're talking about, and we talk about that quite a lot, I think, you know, what can design do, what can we offer, and sometimes it's like design, whatever that means, is supposed to save the world and change a lot of things. And I think we have to work maybe a little bit harder on connecting with other areas of expertise, and like we need to connect with the science and politicians maybe. And sometimes when designers are trying to change things, they may not be focusing on what they do best when they're trying to gather information and facts, but I often see that there's a big gap between like collaborating with the people who are actually more down to earth, solving these problems. If it comes to, you know, war or medical or whatever it is, it's we need to do it together for it to be something of use, something that is real.
So how do you think design professionals can get involved with their governments or even other experts in other fields to have more of an interdisciplinary collaboration? What's holding that back, would you say?
I don't know. I was just surprised. I was approached by a friend of mine, or I hadn't even seen her like since we went to high school, and she was the head of some research program about violence in the home environment, and she couldn't think of anybody else to call but me, who she hadn't met since we were 16, to ask, like, what am I supposed to do when I need an illustration, or when I need to communicate this I think it's a big problem that we have, that we may be difficult to approach or difficult to understand. I don't know why that is, and I don't know how to solve it, but perhaps be more proactive in presenting ourselves and what we can do, offer.
Gabriel, you talk a lot about, I read an interview with you where you talk about design as a tool and also a kind of system around which we organize our coexistence. I don't know if you remember saying that, but can you talk about design as a kind of tool or system around which we organize this new coexistence that we're trying to reconfigure?
I think living in cities, we need this, like as you say in German, I don't know if you say it in English as well, like a piece of bread. It's to find ways, informally or formally, to find a way to coexist in a productive or at least peaceful way. And I think the most immediate thing that all of us experience is mobility, traffic in dense areas, where, of course, there are formalized codes where, if the street light is red, you stop, and if it's green, you go. In some places, and but this is just a starting point. I think this is a good proof of concept, that to say that by a design solution within a design process that somehow facilitates a prescriptive sort of environment that tells you what you can do and what you can't do, and that has this element of mediation, of getting people on board with something that we need to do together in order to make a place work. This can be design, and this for us is how we define social design, is to get people on board to do something together. And I think this is something that's very close to the heart, at least to the way that Vienna Design Week works, is to define these tools that we all use as designers, whether we do, illustration or games or products, interfaces, environments like architecture, is that these tools that we've developed and that have a huge range of design tools to a lot of different contexts in a lot of different ways, not only to make products, solutions that and I think the more designers realize that that their toolkit has this potential, the more they will be acknowledged as factors within society that contribute to a common understanding in society, and as a result, I think there will be a larger public understanding of what designers do, and an understanding of what their achievements can be. This is obviously a hen or egg situation, whether first designers need to do their job properly, or whether first the public needs to define what designers should do. But I think ideally both happen at the same time, facilitated by some sort of discursive process.
I think I hear a lot of designers on an individual basis sharing these kinds of ideas, but do you feel supported by the design industry itself to sort of speak as a voice, or do you feel supported by the industry itself to make these changes?
Yeah, definitely. I think there are lots of designers who are very passionate about doing that sort of work, and I think a lot of just as in society as a whole, a lot of people realize that something needs to happen. But I think it's, then again, there are a lot of different constellations in which these things can happen. It can be a top-down process where, a government says, here's a grand scheme, please come up with a project. But it can also be a bottom-up thing where people organize themselves and just have the desire for a transformative process is so large that it happens on its own.
Yeah.
And I think this depends a lot on the sort of what sort of basis you're working on, what sort of what the context, text, and the system around you is. Whether we wait for something to happen from the top, or whether we organize ourselves. But I think in the end it comes down to, on the one hand, accountability, that we look at other people's actions and have the courage to say that either we agree or we don't. And on the other hand, it comes down to individual set of values that all the stakeholders, to use this sort of businessy word, share, and where people kind of say, these are my values. I will work towards having them implemented in the way that I design whatever I design, and also to request to have these values integrated in whichever products I might commission to have designed for me, or that I might consume, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So yeah, I think accountability is the big thing.
Yeah, that's great. Magda, do you have something that you could comment on that?
Well, you brought up a big question. So how can we be part of policy making and better public understanding of what is design, and to bring up that it might be a facilitator and a tool to interact with the community and to bring other ways and other types of solutions. And this is something that has not been easy. So for us to be part of government policies, or being decision makers, or even part of the discussion, because being part of the discussion would be already an open door to bring possible solutions, even if it's not through the government establishments. So well, in design education you can at least try to do that, and to bring out these possible ways of the importance of design. So it's something that will probably grow better in the next years, I would say.
Do any of you want to offer, have any of you seen examples of kind of design projects or things that have flourished or grown up out of this time that you might want to highlight? We have quite a lot of people following, so maybe it would be interesting, since this is our International Design Day Europe panel, just to maybe give put some light on some of the things that you've seen that are actually quite optimistic. Pressure.
I actually tried to think of things, and I thought it's probably me that's out of the loop or something, but I can't. I mean, the thing that I see that I think is valuable, I don't know if you call it design or not, but I see a lot of projects where people like books or even paintings and like other ways of expressing oneself, and where people have taken a lot of time to do something. And I think that's, we may not see now exactly what it is that's going to come out of it, but I think that's like a process that's going to set like seeds for you need to have some kind of artistic moments of like freedom and calm. I think, at least I do, to be able then to get to the next level and do something interesting. But I couldn't tell you.
Well, which might even be even like kind of what you're saying. It might even be something more invisible, such as you refuse to take on projects that formerly you would have just taken on without thinking about them. And I think if a lot of designers are doing that, or if the education system is also helping designers to feel confident to make different kinds of choices about what kind of projects they want to work on, that alone is a form of refusal, in a way of just the way that things, the status quo, or the way things were working before.
I think there was this time brought up more time for community projects and to local projects, so where you could engage more directly with local problems, even if they were related to food or to landscape or to spaces, or even like during lockdown, making the cars just disappeared, and in the city center many streets were just locked, and we could be out and live a city in a different, completely different way. So those were experiences that came out, and that perhaps we should rescue them more, and this awareness of the importance of public space and as a democratic space.
Yeah, and did you notice that, I guess even just as a designer, observing your own public, you see different, I guess during the lockdown, we really saw what the different needs are and what people actually enjoy, and how they, as you say, and how they enjoy spaces, or slow down, or tune into different things. Even that alone, I think, is a big shift.
Yes. Well, I was locked down in a city, so the importance of green space and public areas was incredible, and importance, because the mobility was completely reduced in our daily life.
So we're almost at wrap-up time, but I'm wondering if anyone has any last thing that they would like to say about being suspended in transition. Any words that they might want to offer to the community of inspiration, or I don't know, just final thoughts on maybe what you're personally planning on doing going forward.
Yeah, maybe just instead of inspiration, it's an invitation to come to Vienna Design Week, or to take part in our open calls. I mean, this state of transition is something that we, that definitely the pandemic created, to like a bubble outside of the business as usual, but in a small and a bit more maybe benevolent way. We try to do that every year during 10 days in autumn, to create something where we do design outside of the business as usual. And this year we were running 5 different open calls, ranging from social design via the urban food sector, all the way to more like experimental artistic positions within design. So yeah, go to our website, look at the open calls, and or come to Vienna in September, and yeah, looking forward.
Okay, thanks. Tyra, Magda?
Again.
Magda had something.
No, I was just saying I'm looking forward to travel again, because
Yeah,
it's really nice to build these networks digitally, but it's also very important to be face to face and to discuss these issues in person.
Absolutely. Tyra?
Yeah, some words of wisdom. I don't know, maybe then to, if it has been a period of reflection, let's say that it has been, then I guess to try and take whatever you found out there and make something from it, and remember, the what you thought about, and see what you can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think designers are more and more, I'm seeing them work on issues like access, equity, fairness. You've all talked about quality of life. So I think those are some of the things that stand out for me from both from what I've observed and this conversation. So I guess I'm going to wrap it now and just say to the live Instagram, this was our Europe Instagram Live for International Design Day 2022, third in the series of the 4 over the course of today. So check out our Instagram for the schedule and for the recordings. Thank you, Tyra, Magda, and Gabriel for joining us. That was really nice to see you all and to have this conversation. And happy International Design Day to everyone. So I'll see you all later, hopefully in person.
Thank you.
Yes.
It was lovely talking to you. Thank you so much.
Super good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.